Hey, my name is James Garcia. I'm going to be talking to you about the state of adoption in the United States and how different stuff affects it. And my goal today is to teach you a little bit more about statistics and have you all a little bit more informed about it. So, on average, a child in the United States, the best chance of being adopted is within the first 6 to 11 months that the parent loses parental rights. So that means anytime past that, it's only 30% at that point, so anytime past that, it dwindles down and the percentage just continues to drop. At 5 years from the time they lose parental rights, the child has about a 1.5% chance of being adopted. This is something that kids have to learn at a young age. That's why children in foster homes usually a little bit more grown up than regular kids, because they have to learn stuff like that at such a young age. They learn stuff like how their ethnicity and their age, how that kind of stuff affects them and their chance of being adopted. They learn that at a young age. Which kids, in any other situation won't learn anything about discrimination until they're maybe 14, 15 years old. That's why I think it's important for everybody to know statistics about situations like that, just so you're better informed, maybe make the right decision in the future. The three main things I want to talk about today is the number of children in foster care, how the number has gotten to the point that it's at, how children learn at an early age about how different factors affect their chances, like their ethnicity or their age, for example, and also how many are adopted in comparison with how many are waiting. The papers that I have passed around, these are the statistics from each state on ethnicity and age. You can look over those while I'm reading, while I'm going over it. My main source was a group of studies by the Texas Department of Health and Human Services and Administration for Children and Families. Once a child enters the system, they instantly start the statistics game. They start to learn about children in foster care know a lot more about statistics than normal kids, because they know what their chances are. They know when they hit a certain age, they're probably going to stay in foster care. They jump from placement to placement before they can eventually, once they reach that certain age, they know they're probably just going to age out of foster care. Children can fall into adoption and foster care for a bunch of different reasons. For example, child abuse and neglect are the ones that most people know about, but it could be anything. Parents have died and have no one to take over, and stuff like that. Up to 60% of the children in foster care are African American or Hispanic, with African Americans taking over the majority. The reason why this is such a lopsided statistic is because the majority of the people that go to adopt children are white, middle, upper class families. So that becomes the issue with 9% of the kids that are in foster care being ethnicity. 9% of the people that want children to adopt to extend their families are white, middle, upper class families. Age-wise, the preschoolers are most likely to be adopted. Once they get to the school age, that's when the percentage really starts going down. They start to get into the less than 5% chance, and to where the point where they're about 5, 6 years old, they have less than 2% chance of being adopted. And by then, sadly enough, they already know that. The reason why there's been such a spike in the number of people that are in foster care is in the 1960s, the mandatory child abuse reporting laws that went into effect. Those spiked the number of children into the nearly 500,000. People looking for children to adopt, 66% of them are married couples. And the next closest one is single women, in which single women are most likely to adopt African American children, which once again puts African American children at the lower end of the spectrum of chances of being adopted. There's actually, as most people know, fees for adopting children if you're not getting them from right after they enter the system. There's fees for people trying to extend their family. They've actually created lower fees for people trying to adopt ethnicities to try to encourage people to adopt ethnicities. Although they try not to place children with families that are of different ethnicities, they try to encourage it now because of the numbers have gotten so lopsided. Here's some pie charts showing exactly how lopsided the percentages are. And almost 60% of weighted children are black or Hispanic, and as you can see, the Hispanic is only 15%, black is 42%. They're the least likely. The reason why I'll show you the age. 60% of children in foster care waiting are 6 years of age or older. The reason why at this age they begin to diminish off into a lower percentage, less than 1 year is at 6 to 11 months I talked about earlier, that they're most likely to be adopted. The reason why from 16 to 18 is pretty low is because children by that point realize they're not going to get adopted, so they usually give the children the right to move out, and they become adults earlier than normal kids do. This is showing the family structure of parents adopting child care. The overwhelming majority is married couples or foster parents, as you can see, and single women 31%, which are once again the African American children at 9% of what they adopt. And currently there are 425,000 children in foster care with 115 awaiting adoption. The reason why the other ones aren't awaiting adoption and they're not part of that number is because there's a lot of kids out there that are in limbo in between court dates and parents fighting to get them back, which eventually they'll probably fall into the system or they'll end up with a relative, so they'll stay in the limbo state. But 115,000 children is still a big number. Children awaiting adoption from placement and placement throughout their childhood. Each year about 26,000 children age out of foster care, never really having a chance to live in a stable home, jumping from placement to placement, foster care to foster care. Some people that are turned away from foster care because of the time it takes, because a lot of times it's drawn out and it can take years to get kids. Actually, in 1997, the Adoption and Safe Families Act was put into effect to try to expedite the process, and it requires the reasonable effort by the caseworkers to try to get that child into a permanent plan within 12 to 15 months. That's why they've come out with incentives and stuff like that to try to encourage people to adopt, as opposed to other means. So basically, that's the gist of what I'm trying to get across to y'all is the adoption statistics and how things are in the United States today. How many children are out there and waiting for families. And that's it. Thanks for watching.